Welcome to Soul Knowledge. I'm your host, Rocky K of Tune Into Wellness. We are souls having a human experience, and this podcast is where we remember that. Your soul has lived lifetimes. It has a history, a purpose, and a wisdom that goes deeper than anything your mind can analyze. My work through Reiki, hypnotherapy, past life regression, subconscious healing, and intuitive transformation is to help you not just learn about your soul, but to actually know it. Here I'll be sharing real stories from real sessions, lessons from the unseen, and truth telling about what healing really looks like. The messy, mystical, holy, human, sometimes hilarious, often uncomfortable, absolutely life-changing parts of it all. And I'll warn you now, if you don't like the honest language or the occasional well-placed F-bomb, this is not the podcast for you. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can say is, fuck this, I'm done repeating this pattern. So let's take a breath. Tune in. Let go of what you think you know. And let's drop into the wisdom your soul's been trying to give you all along. Welcome home. Welcome to Soul Knowledge. Hello, and welcome back to the Soul Knowledge Podcast. I am so excited today. I have Megan Blacksmith with me today. She is an NLP trainer, but not only is she a NLP trainer, she is my NLP trainer, and I adore her, and I think the world of her. She is also known as the Mindset Ninja, and I like to call her the Metaphor Queen. So either way, Megan, I want you to tell my audience just a little bit about you before we really hop into everything.
Thank you, Rocky. I was thinking right before this call, there's a moment, I want to take you back to a moment, Rocky, a moment where I was 7 months pregnant with my oldest daughter, who's now 15. 7 months pregnant, and I was having an absolute panic attack freak out. And the freak out was, if I have, and I do have, great parents, great bringing up, I didn't have a lot of big T trauma. Like I had all the cookie cutter, small town, New Hampshire, a great dad, a great mom. If I had that and I turned out to then go into full chaos mode in my teens, my college years, and make the most horrific choices from men to alcohol to drugs to all the things that I did, I'm like, how am I not going to screw up this child that's in my belly? Because this child who's coming in the world doesn't even have that stability. At the time, my husband and I were actually thinking about splitting up. He was in the military. There was just not even the same level of stability I had. So all I could think was, if I did all the crap I did, how am I going to raise a human and not mess her up? Essentially not mess her up. And I did what all struggling moms do, Rocky. I called an intuitive healer. And this healer said, let's pause for a minute, Megan. Actually, after I gave my full freak out moment of what I was going through, she said, let's pause. She said, you know what? You did all that stuff so that she doesn't have to.
Wow. Powerful.
Yes, I have chills again. Just you did all that stuff, all that chaos, so she and your second daughter doesn't have to. And I decided to take that in. I decided to fully believe that. I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. I decided, yes, I'm taking that one and I'm rolling with that one. As soon as she said it, I felt it to be true. And I've taken that phrase has carried on in every part of my life because that was as a parent. And now I've done the same thing in business. I've done the same thing with growing a coaching business. I've done the same thing with now growing an NLP training business of messing stuff up royally, taking the hard way, taking the path that takes much longer. And now I have this story of the people I work with. Yeah, I did this, so you don't have to. And here are the actual shortcuts now that I've gone through it in the messy, sticky, rough way, creating my little list of here's some things, not that you can get out of most things, but here's some ways that you can get from where you are to where you want to be faster. And that is essentially the root of NLP. It's modeling other people's success.
Wow. Yeah, I love that metaphor analogy. But to think about things in our life that maybe did not go perfect, but we went through it to help others, whether if even if people don't have children, it could be to help somebody else. But like I have 2 daughters too. That's one thing we have in common. And the thought that I had to go through all the things that I went through, I had little trauma, I had big trauma, I had all sorts of shit, and to think that I did that and my girls don't have to go through it. I mean, wow. Like that probably almost just takes a whole nother level of healing for me. And so I love that you went to that person in that moment and that's what they said and how it has carried over into your business. And I'm sure you maybe are running your business thinking that maybe your girls are going to get into it or even just be an entrepreneur of some sort. And we've made all those mistakes. We've learned the hard way how to run a business. We've seen the pitfalls, we understand the learning so that maybe we can come in and guide them a little better when they come into their own and do whatever magical work they're going to do, right?
And because the things that happened to me happened later in life, meaning, I'm now 13 years old or 15-year-old making decisions, I always took those on as I've made those choices, right? So when you're a really small child and something horrible happens to you, you're not making that choice. And so anything that happened to me that now looking back, I have had many of mentors say, well, that is actually trauma, Megan, right? I had decided that yeah, but I made a poor decision. I chose to drink a ton of alcohol, and then, of course, that happened. So there was this pattern of not really owning that, yeah, I made a decision. I also had a 15-year-old brain, right? It wasn't a great decision, and it wasn't a fully formed brain, but I had taken on all of those to be, well, those aren't really things that happened to me because it was because of my poor decision to begin with. And I know a lot of people that I've ended up working with sometimes don't realize that they have an event that's in this category of trauma or an event that really did make a big impact, but they're still blaming themselves. So because they're still blaming themselves, they're like, well, I'm not going to address that one. I caused that one. And it is an interesting distinction of whether we believe we caused it or we didn't. We still can go back and, as you know, really rewrite the story so that it lives in our body so that we can not live out those patterns, right? Not live out the way we saw it before.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of takes me back to thinking about some of the healing that I've done on my journey, specifically with the stalker. I had gone back in a hypnosis session and went back and saw that I was really angry at myself for going into the gym that day because I didn't listen to my intuition.
Oh, wow.
So really like and I didn't, I thought I'd healed all this stuff. Like I wasn't being triggered by motorcycles anymore. I wasn't being triggered by all these different elements. And I'd done so much healing. But then when I went back there, and I was like, oh, oh shit. Okay. I see. I'm blaming myself for it. I'm angry. Like when I was in that session, I was like venomously angry with myself. Like I could feel this like raging, bubbling anger towards myself. And I'm like, oh, well, I never addressed that kind of trauma, emotional wound, whatever you want to call that, because I didn't think about it because it was my doing, right? And I think there's a lot of people that this probably resonates a lot with them about thinking about things that happened. And maybe it was in due to our poor decision making, but it doesn't mean that there weren't consequences that we're still holding on to.
Absolutely. So the people that I end up attracting to come work with me, of course, is always the mirror of me. And there's a pattern of people who were really, really good earlier on, really good in school, or maybe not just good in school grade wise, but really good at figuring out if I do XYZ. If I check these 3 boxes, I will get the A. I will get the pat on the back. I was, the captain of the tennis and the field hockey team, and I knew exactly what to do to keep up with that. And I also was doing a whole bunch of chaotic stuff behind the scenes. So I had that as long as you look like you're in control, as long as you show up in the way that people want you to, then it doesn't matter. It essentially was it was almost like two different Megs. And so the better we get at really being good at getting good grades and really being good at fitting into the box, in the beginning, it gets you a lot of kudos, or at least for me, a lot of appreciation, a lot of love, a lot of significance. Oh, I went from high school, then went into mechanical engineering. Like, oh, it's a woman in engineering. It's like this was a big deal. I got a lot of great accolades for that. And yet, it really wasn't what I wanted to be doing. It really wasn't the best step for me. It was just kind of like, this is something you can do and therefore should do. And I said, okay. So I followed the check boxes one after another, checking them off. And then I get to a point in my life where I'm working in a corporate job. I'm in a cubicle. And don't get me wrong, I really did love the people and I did love an aspect of the design part of the work. And I am just like a hippie Rocky in a cubicle, right? I have like brought in my chia seeds. I've got my feet up on the desk. I had my juicer in there. I am sticking out like a sore thumb in this corporate community. Luckily, they embraced it a little bit. I'm walking at lunch. I'm getting everybody to walk with me. So there's, it's creeping in. And over time, I'm just like, this is going to kill my soul to stay in a cubicle. I cannot do it. And everyone said, but the benefits, right? And I went to 5 years of school for this, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this degree. And at that time, to just walk away and to start a coaching business is what I ended up doing. I mean, everyone said, don't do it. You are crazy.
Tell me about because I know there's so many people walking around in life right now in whatever, a cubicle or whatever you want to use that as a metaphor for, but they're walking around life not really living in their purpose. And I can imagine that stability of that job and the certainty and, like you said, the benefits, the insurance, like all that stuff, and then shifting into coaching. Tell me about your experience in making that transition, because that sounds like a really scary transition initially. I just feel like people could really use that story.
Yes, because I think everyone goes through this pattern of ups and downs. And so a lot of us, and I did too, a lot of us wait for that rock bottom moment to actually make the move. So I waited. I had my first child, that one I was concerned about. And right after I had her, I'd never had health concerns. But after that, I felt like what I call it is I fell off the hormone cliff. Like I was just not myself at all anymore. I was having panic and anxiety attacks on the floor, just hoping she wouldn't roll over and need me. It was scary, and all of my conventional lab work said I was just fine. There was nothing. And I knew, I said, if this were just normal, everyone said, oh, it's just postpartum. I said, if this were just normal postpartum and everyone went through this, no one would have a second child. And I looked around and I see lots of people having second children. So I'm like, there's no way, unless the amnesia is that bad, there's no way that this is normal. And the more I talked to people, the more I realized, no, this was not a normal level of anxiety and exhaustion at all. Because it was to the point where I would think about, well, what could I do that wouldn't be too bad? Like, could I break my arm? How could I get out of going into work? Like, how could I get a break? I'm really glad I didn't do that, because I'm realizing that wouldn't have gotten me out of anything and it would have just been painful. But that was the level. I actively remember thinking, what could I do? Like, how can I get a pause? And so the crash led me into finding a whole world. I found an amazing practitioner. So you find, as people do, they find somebody who can help them and who is doing this totally out of the box profession. And I said, I can't even believe this is a job. I want to do what you do. I loved learning about it. I loved she cared about not just what I was eating, but how I thought about my body, how I thought about life, like what my beliefs were, what my emotions were. And just the fact that there was someone sitting in front of me making really good money. She did very well for herself. We were living in San Diego and just doing this profession that I thought, I want that. So it was cool for me. I got to see someone from the beginning very successful. And I think, as soon as we see it's possible, then I just was like, it's possible. So I went back to school as a health coach, functional diagnostic nutrition. I went back and started to get certifications so I could build the coaching business on the side. So the health crash kicked me into a space of slowly, I knew there was no going back into the box. Like the cubicle was going to be done. But Rocky, I took my sweet time. I hung on to that job for 3 years while I'd already building my business on the side, because I was like just holding on, and slowly they said, oh, we only have 20 hours a week for you now. Okay. Eventually went all the way down to nothing. And I said, okay, this is it. This is my time. And that's when I went all in on the business. And as soon as I did, things went really, really well. So my health crash led me to that discovery. And then this has kind of been my pattern in life of I did things so you don't have to, because then I had another crash in the relationship department with my husband. And we had such, discovering that he had been having affairs and discovering that he was an alcoholic and needed to go to, like, literally we got him on a plane within 24 hours. My world just broke open again. Military, we had just moved. We've been in the new place for 1 week, and here he goes. He's headed off for 30 days. And that 30 days was when I completely unlearned who I was, and said, okay, I've been doing well, but I've been hiding all these insecurities, these codependencies, these things that, I wanted to blame him. It really wasn't him. It was just, I was allowing a lot of things to happen. And so through that process is actually how I found the profession I have now. I found neurolinguistic programming for me personally, thinking we decided to work through things and we really had gotten a long way. And there was just a piece of resentment I couldn't drop. And I said, I need a subconscious tool. I need something that's beyond talking about it. I know I alone, without outside help, this is not happening. And through that process, I found that tool that I needed was exactly what my health coaching clients needed. Because every single one of them was just like me, and they were all type A and really good at getting grades, and they were willing to do all the things. They could follow the low FODMAP diet if they needed to. They could go in the sauna 3 times a day. They're doing their mold detox. They're doing their enemas, right? They'll do anything, and they were. And numbers aren't changing, autoimmunity is not shifting, hormones aren't shifting, and it didn't add up. I'm like, there's a pattern here. And the pattern was that every single one of them. Now, I had found these tools from NLP. I came back so excited to add this into my health coaching practice, and found that with every single one of them, there would be some very strong belief or traumatic event or moment of, it's not safe to heal. It's not safe to be in my body, or an overarching, nothing works for me. And so working with that person, we got to clear out that belief. We get to go back to that moment they made the decision. And now it was so cool, Rocky. And I know you know how cool this is. But these people that had been, and we were testing hormones and brain chemistry at the time. So we had data, and now they have shifted a belief at the subconscious level. And now they're taking the same protocol, doing the same thing. And we got to see, their autoimmunity numbers are going down, their progesterone is actually increasing. And it was so cool, because I believe totally in the power of the mind. And it was blowing me away to actually see it.
Yeah, to have like science tracking like these experiences. Yeah.
And when I saw that, I said, oh, I'm going all in on NLP. So I went from a health coach to now training other coaches and entrepreneurs to add that piece, so that they have a tool to overcome the subconscious resistance.
Yeah, I love it. And just for people that are listening, could you explain it maybe even in layman's terms what NLP actually is for them?
Yes. So neuro linguistic programming. So neuro being the mind, linguistic meaning language, and then programming is that we're programmed with all of our thoughts and our beliefs and our strategies usually before 7 years old. So we're learning the brain is an efficiency machine. Once it learns something, no point in learning it again, right? We would have to relearn to brush our teeth every day otherwise. So we're learning something, but we're learning from our environment and from that age we are then. So at 3 years old, it might have seemed like, I was really loud and funny and I got yelled at. So it's not safe to be loud or it's not safe to be me, taking that on as a belief. And that was protective to that child at that time. It's just that we now carry that much later in life. And we're still, we're in an office or we're at a meeting or we're working with our clients and we're still worried like we're that little kid who's going to be yelled at for being too loud. So we're carrying all of it. So the goal is to discover through language what are those hidden beliefs that people have, because the ones we know about, we're usually addressing. It's the ones that are underneath. We don't even realize that we made that decision, that the world isn't safe or people are against us or whatever category, that it's not safe to make money or it's not safe to truly be ourselves. The ones that are underneath, that's what we're always digging for with language. And then we're using different tools to help rewire that for people. Because in the world of NLP, we say that success leaves clues. So if you do something really, really well in one area of your life, you can elicit, what was I doing? What was I saying to myself? What was I thinking? What was I hearing? What was I feeling? And we could take that into another area of our life. Or essentially modeling, if someone else is doing something really well, just like that practitioner that I had, the health coach, she was doing really, really well. And because she was doing really, really well, I said, oh, this is a job where I can do really well. And what happened was the very first year that I actually left being an engineer and moving into health coaching, I actually made more in my health coaching job than I had as an engineer. That first year, I had so much belief and certainty that this was a profession that goes really well and does really well and is so life changing that I just went all in. And since then, I have found that's not what most people experience. And so we're modeling what we see. And so because that was literally all I knew, she was the only person I'd ever met. And she was 10 years into her journey. So there's a reason she was doing really well. She was on the news every week. She's 10 years into her journey. So she's doing really well. And my brain just said, great, here's a model. And so actually, that's a good point. So since you're local to Virginia Beach and so am I, this is why I curate rooms so that people can get in rooms with other people who are doing really well. So that the narrative of nobody's making money, nobody's in abundance right now, nobody can have what they want, that narrative is not true when you're in around the people that we're around.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely stepped into rooms and I'm like, oh shit, is this even possible? Okay, this is cool. Like,
Other people are doing it.
yeah, and like you've actually helped me with some of my beliefs around money because I mean, they were things that were instilled in me as a child and I was carrying them around like they were my own and I don't want those. And being able to have those, cleared out and so that I can really fully move and truly help people on the deeper level. I mean, it's a gift. It's a gift and a blessing. And I'm obviously incredibly grateful for you and all the work you do. And I think what you do is amazing. And I know it's, why I wanted to, take your training. And for anybody that's in like the coaching or, wellness industry, I can't recommend this training enough. I am like one of those chronic learners. I have a master's degree plus, you know, I have so many certifications and trainings. Like when I dive into something, I want to be the expert and I want to learn really, really well. And I can honestly say, and I can say this very like clearly, this was the best training I've ever taken. Like it was honest to God, the best training I've ever done, not only because I got to experience all the tools, which all those tools were, I mean, they're amazing and they helped me, you know? And now I get to put those into my practice and I get to integrate them with hypnotherapy and Reiki and use them in such a way that's, a little different than how other people use them, right? And they're brilliant. And I've enjoyed, I mean, so we just did this training in, was that the end of February, early March? Was that when we did the training?
March, yep, early March.
And I mean, so just over the past couple months, I've got to use a lot of the techniques and tools in my personal practice with my clients. And it's so cool. And it's been so fun just seeing how they have shifted people in a different way that I didn't have the access to before.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Rocky? Let's do this, because if anybody here is listening and you're either local to Virginia Beach or willing to come here, many people are like, I'm not really ready to dig into a 6-day certification, Megan. So have created and I'm offering a 3-day event in October 12th to 14th, where people can experience parts of it in much more of an experiential way of how do I dig out what are these beliefs I have around growing a business, being a coach, being a leader. What is it that's stopping me from that next level of success? I want anybody who's listening to come join us if they feel called. And how about this? If anyone DMs me the word Rocky so that I know that you came here from Rocky on Instagram, and it's Blacksmith Training Co., I'm going to give you $100 off for the event in October. So let's do that. That will be a fun little bonus, because I know and I've seen how much you've grown even in the last, I mean, you were already an amazing practitioner. So that's one of the best things that I love to see people do, is to take NLP and add it with something else. And I really appreciate what you're saying, Rocky, about like that being the best, you're like, this is one of the best trainings. This is the study of a bunch of other people who do things well. None of it is mine. What it is that I have studied other people doing things well, and I have really studied how to train that. And mostly because of all that stuff I went through, how to train it so people will take it in and actually do it. So that's the part I've added. None of it is mine. Literally, I was trained to be a trainer of NLP. I'm not doing anything that's unique. It's the unique part is, how do you get people to be bought in, which your training room was 1000% bought in. And because of that, people are leaving going, oh, my hip doesn't hurt anymore. Oh, I'm making more money, right? Like that. It's the level.
Are you talking about me?
It's the level of buy-in, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yes. The level of buy-in always, it's like the placebo, right? People, if you believe it's going to work, it's going to work. If you think it's not going to work, it is not going to work. And, it's always something that I talk to my clients to, and they're like, hey, can you help me with this? I'm like, yes, if you want to be helped with it, right? And so there you go. And it's the same thing with that training. I love that. And I love that you're having the 2-day. And when is that? In October, did you say?
Yes, 3 days, October 12th to 14th.
October 12th to 14th. We'll have that all in the show notes too, so people can scope that out. And you're going to DM her, Rocky. You guys got that, ROCKY. And you're going to go and let Megan know that you want that $100 off.
Yeah. So this is the first time I've done 3. So this is a cool story just from the idea of continuous expansion. So there's the subconscious work, and there's okay, now I've dug out something that I want to shift. And then there's the, how do we lock that in, right? Like, how do people listening, if maybe something that's come up so far, they said, oh gosh, I've done that type A perfectionist thing or whatever it is, then how do we actually address this? The cool thing is there is a simple way to address it. Once you've found it and called it out, the way to address it is basically choosing, what is the new way I want to be? What is the new identity? And then what does a person who believes that do? So this is just something I am really focused. I've been honing in on how to train people really well, meaning studying how people learn, how to optimize my, metaphors, my stories, my skills in speaking, so that the people in the room actually hear me and don't just go into immediate resistance, because transformation work comes with immediate resistance. It's normal. It's part of the process. So overcoming that is a big part of the work. And in order to be better at that, I know I have to stretch myself. So the largest event I've ever put on was a 50-person room. And so I said, okay, well, what's next? So I booked a 200-person space in October. And as soon as I did it, I'm going to be super honest, because, other people are going, oh, I couldn't do that. And I can't do that either, meaning I panicked as soon as I booked it. How am I going to fill a 200-person room? I've only ever done 50. Where are these 150 people, other people going to come from? And I don't know yet. What I do know, though, is even just the act of booking, and this happens all the time when people sign up to come, even for a 3-day training, you are doing something that's different, that's outside your comfort zone, is going to require a stretch. Even getting away from work for 3 days, getting away from your own business for 3 days, getting away from having the children be taken care of for 3 days. That alone is enough for people to see, oh, I don't have a system that I can step away from, right? The first time I went to training and realized, oh, I don't have a business that makes money when I leave it. And I don't want it to be reliant on me and my hours. So just going to the training was what allowed me to see that. So the setup is anytime we go outside of our comfort zone. So just literally booking it, I am now saying, well, I know I have to do more and be more and speak more than I did before. So here we are, right? It was just immediately stretched me in who I reached out to and what I did.
I love this for you. And I mean, one of the reasons I wanted you on this podcast is because I believe in this work. I believe in what you do. I believe you're really incredible at what you do. And if people can get into this room, this 3-day event, I cannot recommend it enough. Get your toes wet with this and get in the room and feel the magic of Megan, because it's incredible experience, and it will shift things in you. It will expand you. And no, you will not walk out of the room after day 3 the same person that walked in, period. Anytime you get into a group with people that are wanting this energy and wanting this expansion, you never leave the same. And it's just like a collective energy. Collectively, everybody is growing and expanding. And I know, Megan, because you keep walking into these rooms and walking onto these stages with all these people, that's why you are having a 200-person event, because you have to keep growing, right? It's that continual expansion. And I am so excited to see this. I'm genuinely excited to see how this goes. I know it's going to be wildly successful. And I'm telling everybody that's listening right now, please DM the lady.
And I should just clarify, we're talking a couple $100. I mean, depending on whether you go for VIP upfront seating or not. I mean, we're talking really, really low investment, not even an hour's worth of my one-on-one time, because I want everyone to get in the room that is even thinking they're ready for the next thing or the next level. I've had too many, my mentor just said to me recently, he said, have you really thought about what is the cost of someone not finding you? Like, what is the cost for that, right? Because we can get in our own way as coaches and entrepreneurs. And he said, have you really thought about what is the cost for that person who doesn't find you because you are scared to put your face on a video, or you are scared to reach out? And when he said that, I was like, dang, I mean, that just changes the whole perspective, because you've seen it, Rocky. And like the things I've seen happen for people one mom came into training because she put a hole in the wall with her anger towards her children. She never touched her children. And she said, I can't be punching a wall because I'm so angry. She knew something had to change, and goes back to her children. And this was a few years ago, she is a different mom. We had another woman, she literally just came. She loves transformation, came for fun. She's a nurse, didn't really have any big plans of using it with business. And that was just 3 years ago. She just bought a $2.5 million company, home healthcare company. And she and her husband decided we're going all in on, we're doing our own. They learned how to buy a business. They spent a year going to workshops where they tell you how to find an appropriate business for you and buy it. She's no longer a nurse running this full time. It is growing like gangbusters. And when I was reflecting back to her, I was like, oh, no big deal. You just bought a $2.5 million company. And she looked at me and I could tell she hadn't really realized it was a big deal. Like, that's a huge investment. And she said, yeah, you're right. And she's like, the Jessica from before training would never have even considered that. It's not like the training was for that, but she just changed into an identity of someone who was open to huge possibility and she's a leader and she stepped into the leadership more. And so I'm like, you never know. That was not something she was even going for and ended up there. So I just think that anybody who's ready, if you feel the calling, and as you'll hear, I am a big picture person. I am not a detail person. And even by the time this podcast goes live right now on the page, it says very little. It says you're going to come for 3 days. It's called Ignite. You are going to leave a different person. And that's about all you'll know. And so people who are willing to step into the room with that level of detail, they're there for it. They're there for it.
Yep.
Maybe there'll be more by then. We'll see.
And hopefully my words of encouragement right now.
I mean, I don't even always know what's going to happen because I am literally growing by the day, by the week, by the month. And I know that come October, I will have had another level of realization, or I will have found some new amazing way to teach something. So what you do know is there's going to be transformation, and connection is also a big piece that people are missing. Other people who basically are willing to look at who they are, how they operate, and what they want. What are they going for?
Yeah. And I think when we can really look in the mirror and see our genuine, true reflection, and we don't like what we're seeing, and we're willing to fix it and look at the hard stuff and take care of it. But that when we do, that's when we have the capacity to expand. We have the ability to walk through our lives in purpose and authentically. We learn what's ours and what's not. When you say, like, do you really believe, like, is this a limiting belief here? And they're like, well, shit, maybe no, I don't. That's shit. That was my mom's. That was my mom's belief, and I've been holding it around like it's a badge of honor, right? It's so amazing when you do this work, though, to clear it all out so that you can really see who you are and where you actually want to expand, right?
And it's hard to even notice your own transformation and expansion until you get some kind of mirror back to you. I was talking to a good friend and mentor this morning, and he said to me, he said, it was really great to witness you in your training. And he said, you have such strong boundaries. He said that after I left, I modeled that. I took that back to my training and really put some different boundaries in place. And I did such a double take, Rocky. I'm like, excuse me? As a recovering people pleaser, doormat, all the things, the statement of Megan is the person with strong boundaries, I literally have not caught up to that identity. As he's saying it, I can own it and I can realize, oh, I have great boundaries, and I do at this point. And I don't know that I've ever had that mirrored back to me in the same way. I hadn't really realized until today that it is so different. And so it's really a cool moment when, you know what I mean? All of a sudden you realize, like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to stand up and say that 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a big piece of the healing is when and you don't even realize how far you are in your journey until something like that happens. I know I had that moment when my sister-in-law passed away in September, and a couple weeks after I was like, wow, wow, I'm really not the same person. Like I've handled this so much better than I would have even, like, 3 months before that, just, like, with all the work that I had been doing and stuff, and so it's moments like that, good, bad, whatever it is, you get these moments that come back at you and you're like, "Oh, shit, look at me. Hey. Hey, girl." Right? And
What have you noticed since training Rocky? I'm just curious if has there been any moments where you go, "Oh, I would have reacted differently to that before."
I mean, maybe nothing, like, super specific like that, but I have been a lot calmer. Like, I mean, I feel like through all my work that I've been doing, I keep getting calmer and calmer and calmer, and it was like a different level. Like, I'm not getting mad, and I can tell you what, I can be a very fiery human. Um, and honestly, really, the biggest place that I see it is driving. Like, I always laugh that it's my ego driving because I don't have time for people. I don't have time for stupid people that don't know the rules of the road. But, like, I have found myself just driving so much more chill. Like, "Eh, okay, dude, you can get in front of me. That's fine. You should probably be careful." It's kinda one of those things. So I'm
Isn't it interesting where it shows up, the small.
yeah, and nothing like I mean, I haven't had anything, thank God, knock on wood, anything too crazy that has happened that I need those tools, I really, like, need to have all of those tools in place. So I am grateful for that. Thank you, God, for giving me a little bit of a break because 'cause we've had a hard year, but yeah, so it's just
Well, we're often giving our power away to the tiniest things all day long. It's like those are actually the most draining because it's just little things all day long, little irritations like, ugh, why is this dish up here? Ugh, why didn't the kids put the thing away? Right. Why is this person driving slowly? And I didn't quite realize how much energy that takes up or how much energy it is to think through things like, should I help right now? My husband's making dinner. Should I help right now? I really just want to sit here. I really just want to relax, but ugh, like, am I a bad partner or mom if I don't do that? The energy that goes into the thinking about things like that, I didn't quite realize how much energy until I stopped doing it. Basically, you've heard the story, but my husband, he retired from the military. He cooks, he cleans, he drives the kids. He's amazing. He does everything. And that was really hard for me at first to just actually receive and accept. And most people, women specifically, who I tell this story, you can literally feel them like cringing of I sit there and do a puzzle while he's cooking dinner. I sit where I can see him on the island and I'm doing my puzzle so I can talk to him while he's cooking. I don't help. He cleans up too. So this there is no thought in my mind anymore about it. It's not oh, do I go, do I not? This is just we've actually owned these roles and he loves to give and provide. And now that I can actually receive it, it's more fun for him too because he can see on my face I'm actually enjoying myself. He wanted me to enjoy myself all along. It was the story I had about what is a mom doing who works but then just sits back while he cooks? I didn't have that modeled in my household. My mom made every meal. My dad worked. So it took a while for that to be okay. But the energy, oh my gosh, that was freed up. Like, completely felt different in my body and my health even from not doing that back and forth.
yeah, there's definitely a calming and a peace with those even the little thoughts, and that's probably the biggest impact that I have noticed is just a little more calmer, a little more quieter in my head. And I mean, I'm not one that shies away from resting and just like turning everything off. And when I had my big knee surgery, I did learn to allow my husband to do more, and I have never taken that role back. Like, God, you got it, dude. You can clean the kitchen, you can cook for me. And I'm okay with it. Like, I'm totally okay sitting there on the couch while he is doing all that. And I'm like, I did it for how long? I mean, I did it for so many years that I'm just like, yeah, you can take care of me now. Appreciate that. I mean, I do cook and clean some of the time, but I have no problem letting them do it.
I love that model for everyone listening. I hope if you are feeling triggered by that in any way, anyone listening, please look into what are the beliefs there? Like what's underneath this? What would happen if you rested?
Yeah. Yeah. What are those beliefs? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Megan, I have loved our conversation, and I know that we can sit here and probably talk for like 2 hours, am I right? And if not 3 about all the things. But before we do get off, I want to ask you our one last question I like to ask all my guests is what is one moment in your journey when you truly tuned in and when you realized that your soul was guiding you?
The moment when my second daughter was introduced to the world and we were at home, I got to have a home birth for baby 2 and I did not for baby 1. And it represented everything, and it represented that I didn't just choose to listen to what everyone said because they said you can't do that. They said, we lived on a military base. You can't do that on a military base. I was older, right? In the age of pregnancy, you can't do that. It's not safe. And I knew I could. And my body, I really listened to my body. And it was just such a magical experience, having had an exact opposite experience for the first birth, to know that I had fully followed my intuition and it led to there.
Wow. That's a beautiful story. Totally got chills when you started saying it. I was like, oh, okay. That is not the story I was expecting you to say. And I love that you shared that story because that's, I think, a really beautiful story. And, I fully believe in mother's intuition and mothers know best. And I've always appreciated the doctors that are like, Mom, what do you think is going on here? And I'm like, all right, you are my doctor. Okay. You can take care of my children because I've always believed that we do when we are really stepping into our powers and our truth and our inner knowing and inner guidance, that we're not wrong. We're not wrong. And it's just learning to trust that voice and that inner guidance and not second guess it. Right. Well, Megan, I really have enjoyed having you today. Like I adore you. I love your work. I love what you do. I love that I get to work with you and under you and continue to learn from you. And is there anything that you want to say before any last thing you want to share before we hop off?
I just appreciate you having me, Rocky, and it's so fun to watch you take all of your magic. You're already doing it and integrating the new tools really fast. It's just super cool to have a group of people in my local community who just jump so all in and really, really support each other. So I just thank you for being a part of that community and really modeling that for others, like openness and vulnerability. It's been amazing to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And for those listening, please, 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 please go check out Megan. It's Blacksmith Co. Am I right on Instagram?
Yes, it's actually technically blacksmith_training_co. But if you type in blacksmith training, you'll find me.
Okay, cool. So please, you guys go follow and listen to all the gems that she loves to drop. She tells lots of stories, and they're always fun stories. And in the meantime, please tune into that soul, tune into your body, listen to what it has to say. There's so much beautiful magic that lies within each one of us. And Megan and I both have really amazing tools that can help you find that magic if you cannot. So again, until next time, thank you. Thank you for tuning in and for doing this work, not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to you. If this episode stirred something in you, trust that. Share it, leave a review, send it to someone whose soul needs it. Your voice and your ripple matter. And if you're ready to go deeper, to explore your past lives, heal your patterns, reconnect to your soul, or work with me one-on-one, head over to tuneintowellness.com or connect with me on Instagram. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and remember, your soul already has the answers. Be bold, be light, be you. I'll see you next time on Soul Knowledge.